I think it goes without saying that the Monogatari anime is great. You could check pretty much any website and you'll get a lot of, yeah, it is good, and I'm no exception in the people that say, yeah, it is good. And when you like an adaptation enough, you'll probably start turning your attention to the source, being books in this case. Or are they worth getting? That question is too late to be any useful for me with the books in my possession, but maybe you're now considering this question you likely haven't thought of but could now be contemplating. With that said, why don't we have a talk about the Monogatari novels? Let's do what we've always been told not to and judge books by their cover. I've spent money on this, I can judge it all the fuck I want. I like these covers. From Kizumono to Tsukemono, Nisemono 2, you like some feet, and Koimono, you've got some pretty covers to spice up your bookshelf. Look at all that added color. Vofan's character and portraits on the front of each book are lovely, and the Koyomi-mono combo can connect to form one coherent piece. Shame the title's covering a chunk. Oh well. That about covers the covers. The spines though? We gotta talk about the inconsistency inherent in the spines. You might hear this and think, whatever, it's just the spines, bruh. But unless you store your books like this or like this like a fucking degenerate, you're gonna see the spines most of the time, bruh. It won't bother most people, me included, but most people are not everyone, much to no one's surprise, and everyone includes those who may be bothered by the book spines. It feels that with every new arc, vertical we're inclined to redefine the spines as designs. Kizumono is the only one with a translation on its spine. Makes sense to scrap since most other books aren't as meaty, and it's redundant since the translations are already on the front. Kizumono's vertical is justified left, everything else is justified center. Bakemonos are the only ones to have their spines continue to the back. The title block on Kizumono and Nisemono are lower than everything else. The title block starts white, then black, then lighter color, then contrasting color, and back to lighter color. They just couldn't decide for 10 books. On the other hand, you might appreciate the varied styles and the not-so-samey looks, as it helps to visually break up arcs. And if everything looked the same, that'd be boring as fuck. The covers extend and are folded inside the book and features a zoom-in on some aspect of the cover. I like Nadeko's zoom-in on Bakemono too. It looks like she's peeking over. Snake! Look at that duck! Flip that page and you're welcome with Vofan's gorgeous full-color illustrations. Cover art is pretty good, but this is where the art shines. The composition, the use of color. How do those headphones work? Kabukimonos and Koimonos are my favorite of these. Before every arc, there's black and white illustrations, but those tend not to be as appealing as the aforementioned art. Koyomi-mono's calendar motif is interesting, and the first one of Owari-mono ones is my favorite of the bunch. Overall, the books have strong presentation. They look nice and feature nice art. What more could you want here for the books to suck your dick? Or have consistent spines? And while the presentation of a book matters, what matters more is the content within. It's Monogatari. It's good. Monogatari is a super fun story. Not much else to say on that aspect. The charm and wordplay remain intact in English, which is great. Oh, hello, Mr. Anafararari. Come on, Hachikuji, don't make it sound like you're so fed up with our conversations that you've got tedium coming out your ears. My name is Araragi. My bad, a slip of the tongue. No, it wasn't. You did it on purpose. A tip of the slung. But I'm not gonna say there isn't aspects to this that doesn't bother me. So Ononoki calls Araragi Oni-Oni-chan, which is a clever play on words. To Ononoki, Araragi is a demon big brother. Nisio, we see you smart bastard. Shame your clever nickname got butchered by replacing it with a kind monster, sir. A kind monster, sir. Why? This sounds awkward and ruins some of the personalness between Ononoki's and Araragi's relationship, as rather than being called big brother, now he's just sir. A kind monster, sir. It's clear there's no equivalent pun, and it changes the relationship between the characters for the worse. I'd much rather it not be changed for the localization and for a translation note explaining the pun. Another localization change I'm not feeling is shying away from honorifics, with the most notable example being Hachikuji referring to Araragi as Mr. Araragi. The audience here is pathetic weeb as fuck losers. I got a diet of instant ramen, degeneracy, and underage cartoon girls. I know what I'm getting into when I pick up a book with a Japanese as fuck title like Zoku Owari Monogatari. Did the translators think I get spooked at an honorific? It's made even worse when honorifics are still used anyway. In Tsukemono, you've got Karen-chan, Tsukihi-chan, Gaien Senpai, Araragi Senpai, and Miyazawa-san. So I missed her. But it's still Monogatari, still a great read, and it's still a fantastic story. To avoid spoilers and a massive amount of redundant observations, I'll keep this comparison to just episode 1 of Bakemono, briefly talk about episode 2, and generalize Kizumono. So with Shaft, the studio responsible for making the anime, swinging around that girthy, floppy, creative-y shaft of theirs, you're going to get a lot of differences between the books and the anime. Not just because of the nature of adaptation, but from Shaft impregnating the show with their own unique and avant-garde style, you're going to end up with two very different experiences between the books and show. The books, for example, tend to give more information, both the background and foreground flavors. You'll learn about the last thing thrusted into Araragi's mouth and a bit more explanation on Shinobu's name and how complex of a pun it truly is. Some exchanges are present in the books, and unless I'm a dumbass who gets this next statement wrong, aren't present in the anime. I know what you're thinking, staring at my breasts like that. Disgusting. I wasn't thinking about that, I promise. So, Araragi, you got a thing for girls with straight bangs? What was it I just told you not to do? And girls with straight bangs, isn't that what you call a plain old pedophile? Don't lump me in with your generation who had Full House airing on TV when you were going through puberty. Right. Shinjitsu scowled in response. The word pedophile might have been what did it. These exchanges are funny, and for whatever reason, it was dropped in the anime. The characters' characterization are characterized differently in both mediums as well. There's the obvious luxury of a voice actor in an anime providing tone, how they speak and generally pair language adding to a lot of character. More than that is how different characterization can be given through action. When talking to Hanekawa, Araragi plays with a pen the entire time, rather than even taking a glance at the work he's supposed to do. From this alone, the audience can get a feeling for how serious Araragi takes his responsibilities as vice president. That being, not at all, and this is not present at all in the book. And when Araragi chases after Shinjitsu in the anime, Araragi runs after her, nearly forgetting his bag, which is a way of showing he's more concerned about others than he is his own possessions. The book also shows Araragi cares about others by picking up the staple on the floor so others don't step on it. One element the books have going for it is that we spend more time in Araragi's head, so we get to see more of his thoughts, how he thinks and feels about things such as how dangerous super glue can be. The anime structures the order of scenes a bit differently from the books. Episode 1 ends with Oshino's explanation on the crab, and Episode 2 starts with a scene in Shinjitsu's home. In the books, however, these two scenes are flipped. The anime has aspects to it that is unique to it that a book can't possibly do. There's the obvious of the visuals and the voice acting, but the atmosphere created by the amazing music and the occasional chaotic editing are such wonderful things to experience that can't be gotten in books. Keysmash is the most liberal when it comes to changes, with the most notable example being the meeting scene with Kishot. The movie has this quiet and atmospheric scene in an impossibly large amount of space and blood, creating tension and this unnerving feeling. The book takes place under a street lamp where it intercuts a brief attempt at building a tense atmosphere with Araragi thinking about wanting to beat off, and I personally think the movie does this meeting so much better. An important aspect to any piece of media is the time commitment required to go through it. The anime has a definite maximum runtime of 43 hours, 33 minutes, and 27 seconds. An hour or so short if you skip episode previews, and even less if you're a filthy opening and ending skipper. That's like 3/5 of Xenoblade. Books do vary from person to person based on how fast you can read, but they will take longer to go through. With 20 books, you got 5,745 pages and 1,472,387 words. The average reading speed of 200 words per minute, you're looking at a time of 122 hours, 41 minutes, and 56 seconds. That's 1 3/4 of Xenoblade. Visuals are efficient at cutting out those 79 hours. The books aren't the only official release of the Monogatari series. Part of if I would or would not recommend picking these books up is determined by the accessibility of the other releases. I'm gonna get this out of the way now. I know there's a manga adaptation. I know nothing about it. I'm not talking about it. Moving on. The easiest and cheapest way to watch the Monogatari anime would be to stream it. Now, luckily, the Aniplex website provides some very helpful links for this. So, from left to right, we start off with Crunchyroll. Cool, you can watch Hold on a second. Now wait a minute. For some damn reason you can't even watch all of Bakemono. Only 12 of 15 episodes are available. And the bullshit don't stop there. Crunchyroll got no Kizamono, no Koyomi Mono, no Zoku Owari Mono. Can't even finish the series here. Okay then, how about Hulu? I guess I'll go fuck myself. Come on, can Prime Video pull through? Fuck. Not only that, can't finish the series here as well. So, if you can't stream it, how about buying the Blu-rays? Okay, Aniplex. How much are you selling it for? 149.98, 119.98, 49.98, 219.98, 49.98, 69.98, 59.98, 69.98, 69.98, 69.98, 69.98, 69.98, 59.98. Holy shit! That all totals up to $1,129.78. The fuck do they want, my firstborn? Oh, but the original MSRP was going for the low price of $1,429.73. This is after the price cut. Fuck off the edge of my dick, Aniplex. Across the Atlantic, prices are cheaper. Before that, MVM and Anime Online needs to fix their shit websites. Broken links, and where's Nekomono Black? I couldn't find it, so I based it off Sukemono's price since those two are the same price in the US. Anyway, the total in metric is a cool 464.87, or 655.47 in Imperial. Two issues here. There's still a large chunk of change, and that's still not convenient. Going this route, this requires a European or a region-free Blu-ray player. I have a region-free player because some UK releases tend to be cheaper, such as the Keysmash movies. Got them for 20 each. Even then, a region-free player is going to run at least 100. This isn't an issue if you're already European or have a player that can play European Blu-rays, but it's still not an ideal outcome. And the last official release, the books. Going for a total of $279.42, even cheaper if you buy used. This is the cheapest way to officially experience the Monogatari story. At this point though, you might be better off sailing the 7 seas, if you get what I'm saying. But even these books have their audience, and you might be that audience if you fit most of these 5 criteria. You like novels. I prefer mine more visual than I do light personally. You're a fan of Monogatari. You got disposable income, you like to support official releases whenever possible and accessible, and you want something to read, which these definitely do make for a good pre-bed read. If you have these qualities, then these books might be for you. Do I recommend these books, however? I'd recommend watching the anime through whatever means best works over the books. The anime just makes for a better way to experience Monogatari. But if you still want the books, I'd recommend not buying all 20 unless you want to tack on completionist to the previously listed conditions. What I would suggest is to just get your favorite arc or section of the story. If you like Tsukemono, get that. If you like Owarimono, get those. I'd also suggest picking up Keysmash, as that can work as a standalone and does contain a fair amount of differences to the movies. That pretty much sums up my thoughts on the books. If that helped you decide whether or not to pick one up, great! While I do think watching the anime is the better experience, the books do have their purpose, place, and reason to exist. If you never cared about these to begin with and just wanted to hear someone ramble on about a niche topic, that's cool too.